Hello and welcome to the Formula Racing League. It's time for some F2 action here at Silverstone in the Northamptonshire countryside here in Great Britain. This is the second round of the championship. We didn't race last week due to the clash of the Euro 2020 semi-final between England and Denmark, but we are back in action for this week. Joining me alongside in the commentary box is the driver who's involved in the Formula Racing League in the Tier 2 category on the Formula 1 side of things, Jack Berry. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Tom. Very good, my friend. Very good. Looking forward to tonight for sure. Definitely after the first race, looked very interesting and a lot of drivers to look out for. So yeah, really excited.
And of all circuits like Silverstone as well, which has, believe it or not, has hosted the British Grand Prix in every season since 1987. It did host 2 races in Formula 1 last year in response to the pandemic, where some of the venues that were originally scheduled that weren't able to take place, well, Silverstone kindly was able to host 2 races on consecutive weekends. And it's the host of the British Grand Prix this year, this weekend, and we hope it will be an interesting spectacle. Most will be remembered, I think, for the sprint qualifying that is set to take stage on Saturday, with the qualifying session of normal being moved to the Friday. Let's go on to the action on the racetrack then. Let's ride on board with Novavest. We'll go with Novavest on this one. I'm looking at the UNI virtuosity of Wild Dog, but we'll go to Dixon actually in the Premier. As you can see, we'll ride on board with him as he comes through the loop. And then turn 5, which is Aintree, which takes us onto the Wellington Straight. Takes as much curb as he can without exceeding the track limits there. And now he's coming towards the left-hander, that is Brooklands, which takes us back onto the older section of the racetrack. Positions the car nicely through Loftfield, which is a wider section, a wider line that you need to take than most corners on the Silverstone track. And then back onto the old pit straight, which takes us towards Copse Corner. And then he should be able to nail the apex on the inside, which he does so nicely, does Dixon. One of the faster drivers in the Formula Racing League. Very, very talented driver indeed. This is the Maggots-Beckett's complex. There's through Maggots fine. And brakes nicely into 4th gear into Beckett's. And then on the power through Chapel with the DRS wide open. Onto the back straight as he comes towards the fast right-hander, that is Stowe. Most remembered for the brilliant tussle between Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet in the final few laps of that incredible event in 1987. Dixon's through that corner. And he comes to the Vale chicane. Then Club. And he'll be on the power onto the Hamilton Straight. At the moment, he's fastest of everyone so far on this lap. Over the line he comes, and he does go to pole position and bags himself 4 championship points, which could come crucial at the end of the year. Jack, your take on this?
Yeah, that was a very good lap indeed. I was riding on board with Dixon during that lap, and just seemed to hook up every corner, really. Yeah, great way to start the weekend for him, for sure.
And we'll have a look at the qualifying effort then for the feature race. Dixon is on pole for the feature race ahead of Novavest, his championship rival, in 2nd. It's Winfield in 3rd alongside Roon on row 2. Leppy and Vamu, who is stepping in at Charouz in place of Redstone Derp, I believe. He lines up 6th position ahead of Lynx and Citizen King, who are on row 4. Nivy and Quick Colour make up row 5. Then it's Terades and Swanshanks on row 6. Hound and Official Dat Boy are on row 7. Lucky Boff and Exotic Alpha make up row 8. And we've got Vintage, Wild Dog and Rosie, who didn't quite complete their laps. They'll start 17th, 18th and 19th. Interesting racing prospects. Jack, now you've seen some cars of F2 in action on the shorter layout of the circuit. You were caught by surprise on how chaotic it was, but hopefully we'll have a cleaner first lap than we had done so the last time you commentated.
Yeah, definitely. The short one, sure. Hopefully the normal track will be a bit more, normal for everyone and a bit more familiar. I'm interested to see Wild Dog and Rosie invalidating their laps, because from what I've seen of them in the past, they tend to be quite quick here. I'm not sure how the season's gone for them so far, but obviously I think they both like the circuit, so it could be interesting seeing them fight through maybe.
Well, those points for Dixon has boosted his points table from 33 to 37. No change to his championship position of 6th. But it's Novavest who's 9 points ahead at the top of the championship over Quick Killer. He has 54 points to Quick Killer's 45. And they've got Exotic Alpha and Rosie tied on 44 points each in third and fourth, followed by Statistic King in fifth place. So after the two races we had in Barcelona 2 weeks ago, it is hotting up to be a very, very close championship. The drivers are raring to go for the formation lap, so an opportunity to find out who is starting on what. Now, with it being the feature race, all the drivers have to complete a mandatory pit stop, which they have to take from lap 3 and not before, with it being a 50% race distance event in comparison to real life F2. Now, only 2 drivers are starting on the soft compound for the first stint. They are Novavest and Rosie. Now, if you remember, Jack, I don't know if you were watching the Barcelona races, Rosie was in fact one of 2 drivers to go onto the soft compound for the first stint, and it paid dividends for her later on. So we'll have to see how this one plays out.
Definitely, I think that could be a good call, because there could be an opportunity to maybe get rid of those tyres early and undercut. And then obviously you've got to defend at the end. But I mean, I think that could be a good call. I wouldn't be surprised to see a VSC or a safety car this race as well. So that could maybe fall into their pit window. So yeah, it could be quite interesting for sure.
You mentioned VSC there. Remember, you cannot take your mandatory pit stop under a virtual safety car, but you can under a full safety car when it comes to F2. And we've seen some...
Of course.
Yes, and we've seen some comments in the stream, Jack, and people just saying hi and how are things as well. And there doesn't appear to be any rain forecast for this race. It does look overcast out there on the Silverstone circuit, but the rain does appear to be moving away from the circuit, so that shouldn't impact things for the race itself. Paige coming in saying... Yeah, Paige is coming in saying, "Evening, boys. Hi, Paige. How are you?" Paige is another one of those regulars in the Formula Racing League who sometimes does race. Hope you are enjoying the stream tonight, Paige. And Dixon's just picking up Robert and bringing it home. Don't blame you, mate. And Dixon, one of a few Brits here tonight who are hoping for a good result. Hopefully some recompense after England's heartbreak in the final of Euro 2020 on Sunday night against Italy. But we do have some Italian drivers involved in the Formula Racing League as well, so they'll be thinking, no way, you are winning this one.
Exactly. We do see Exotic Alpha said he spun at turn 1 as well, which could explain why that will explain why he's in 16th place.
Exotic Alpha was one of the drivers who was thinking about car setup as well, which is a crucial thing, because under Part Fermo rules, I think in F2, if you are selecting your setup for qualifying, that's the setup you have to be on for the feature and sprint races, although you can adjust the front downforce on your car itself. Well, everyone is in position then for the start of the feature race, the third race of this season's F2 Championship in the Formula Racing League. Dixon on pole, Novavest second on the grid with Winfield and Room White behind, who will come away with the 25 points. In the first race of tonight here at Silverstone, the 5 lights are on. When the extinguished will be racing here at Silverstone. It's lights out and away we go. And Novavest appeared to got the better start than Dixon, but Dixon holds his line as they enter through Abbey. Dixon takes the lead from Novavest, and we've got Rune, who's made up ground from 4th position on the grid. He's gone side by side with Winfield, but has kept hold of his 3rd position. And down the inside goes Novavest into Village, and Novavest takes the lead from Dixon into turns 3 and 4. Novavest in front of Dixon with Rune 3rd. Then it's Winfield ahead of Lynx in 5th place. And we've got Vamo, who runs wide on the exit of Aintree. He's in 6th position. Then we've got Statistic King in the UI Virtuoso. We've got a spinner at the back. It's the high tech of what looks like that boy who's spun round there. It may have been Nivi, actually. We've got yellow flags in sector 1 there. It was one of the UI Virtuosos, actually. Wild Dog has spun round, as well as the high tech. And they've got a whole lot of work to do there, Jack.
That is for sure. I see Exotic Alpha around the outside of Torres, that X as well, going onto the old start-finish straight there. A fantastic move. And
so Room will be on the tail of Dixon very shortly. Remember, there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of this one, so he'll have to manage trying to pass in the old-fashioned way. There's a long way to go yet, 15 laps ahead for the drivers. They have to get through the first 2 laps before they can make their mandatory pit stop. And you can see further behind, there's Rosie, who's made up good ground from the back of the grid. Actually, she's already made her way up to 12th place, and she's going side by side with Nivi in the ART on the Hanger Straight. And I don't think Rosie's going to have enough momentum to pull alongside, but Leppy most certainly is, as he fends off. Oh, he spins! Leppy is going into the barrier there, and is that his race over? He gets going, I think, again.
He managed to keep it out.
Yeah,
he's taken front wing damage, though.
Yeah, he's taken front wing damage, so he'll have to manage for a few laps at least before he can take his mandatory pit stop. So, and Statistic King has made his way past Nivi and Exotic Alpha. And Lucky Boff is also in there. Novavest, I think, made a mistake somewhere. Or is that the leaderboard, I think, glitching at the moment. So we'll wait until the drivers go through the first sector, and then we should have our accurate leaderboard, because this is something that we do see very often. And drivers can't wait to switch over to F1 2021, as we had a car spinning round at Village, and another car spinning on the exit of the loop. That would be one of the HWAs. Couldn't quite tell who it was, as we are waiting for the leaderboard to update itself. But Dixon is in second place behind Novavest, as the drivers are on lap 2. It does say lap 3 on the graphic, but we are in fact on lap 2.
Been an absolutely fantastic start to this race for sure. My timing board is still kind of a bit all over the place, but every person I'm spectating seems to be around 3 or 4 different cars.
So Novavest open up the gap now over a second clear of his title rival Dixon in second place, Rooney in third, Winfield fourth, Lynx ahead of Statistic King, who's under pressure from the Cheroos of Vamu in seventh place. Then we've got Quick Killer Rosie continuing her great progress through the field. She's up to 9th on the soft compound, and Hound is in 10th place for Campos. And looking to see, no, I don't think anyone pitted at the end of that opening lap. They're going to wait until the pit window opens so that they can come in and make their mandatory pit stops. And Novavest setting a new fastest up of the race. Dixon crossing over the line as well, doesn't quite beat it there, but Vamu has managed to get in front of Statistic King as they come onto the Hamilton Straight, or so he thought, because they're going side by side on the Hamilton Straight, and Statistic King should have the momentum to get in front as they enter Abbey.
Fantastic move there. Got to hope that Vamu doesn't come under pressure from Quick Killer as well.
So Vamu, as the DRS is now enabled for the drivers, so Vamu will be able to use the DRS to his advantage when they get onto the Wellington Straight. So rear wing is open on the Cheroos. Is this going to be a move down the inside going into Brooklands? He's thinking about it. He's going to the inside. Vamu doesn't quite pull it off there. Slight contact there between the Cheroos and the UNI Virtuosi. Vamu goes to the outside. Doesn't quite pull the move off on Statistic King, but will have better acceleration on the exit. They go. Vamu to the inside. He will break, well, I'll say he'll break the later of the two. It's not really a braking zone, is Cops, but Vamu gets on the inside and is able to get on the power sooner and moves his Cheroos up into 6th place. Further behind, Quick Killer about to lose position to the MP Motorsport car of Rosie. She gets through. She's absolutely on fire in this one. She knows how important points are for the championship. Leppy becomes the first driver to be penalised. He gets 3 seconds added to his race time for track limits. And Statistic King determined to get back ahead here of Vamu as they go round, as he goes round the outside into Stowe Corner. And Statistic King may have the inside line. Vamu gets onto the grass, and that will open the door for Rosie to have a go round the outside into Vale. And Rosie outbrakes herself into the corner, and she has to concede the position there. But this is a good start from Rosie.
Very good start indeed, definitely. I mean, in the top 8 already after 4 laps from the back of the grid, so just very exciting to see these 3 battling as well. I think Quick Killer should be good to see him get a few more attempts to make it a 4-way scrap, because he keeps kind of dropping a little bit. But these definitely seem like the closest guys on track, as we see Rosie try one up the inside there of Vamu, and I think gets the move done.
She does on the exit of the loop as they go into DRS. So now when Vamu runs wide onto the curb and the grass there, and that's going to allow Quick Killer to close in on the Cheroos. Rosie gets herself up into 7th place, and her next target will be Statistic King in the Virtuosi, but her tyres will be falling away at this point, as we are now on lap 4 of this event.
That is very true, actually. Obviously, Rosie and Nova starting on the soft tyres. What is the predicted pit stop window? Do we know, Tom, for soft tyres?
I think for a 50% F2 race distance event, for a 15-lap event, I would say over 5 or 6 laps. So not too much of a difference, really. Having said that, we are on the soft compound, where it's the hard compound. So I would say either 5, I think it would be 5 laps for the softs and 10 laps for the hards, given it is 2 compounds difference, really, between the softs and the hards. But Rosie has got DRS on the hanger straight. Can he go to the inside? Vamu's also there, and I think Vamu's going to take 2 in one go as they go into Stoke corner. But Rosie spins round. That's terrible luck for the MP Motorsports driver. She does continue, but she's lost time and places in that.
Oh, that seemed very unlucky. It just seemed a bit like 3 into 1 doesn't go. Almost a Hacken and Schumacher-esque moment at Spa there. I wouldn't say that was blame on anyone, really. I think that was just fighting very hard, and they just tapped wheels, I think, which caught Rosie out.
And so Quick Killer on the tail of Statisticking now. He's looking to get past the Virtuosi for 7th place. Trying to get on the power sooner as he's doing so on the exit of the loop. He's taking a different line, actually, to help him build the momentum on the exit. He will have DRS on the Wellington straight as they come down now, but King is going to be too far back to have a go on Vamu, who's up the road in 6th place. Links on his own in 5th behind Winfield. Rune doing a fine job in the MP Motorsport car in 3rd behind Dixon and Novaves, who has a lead of nearly 5 seconds out in front, and he'll be pitting in shortly because he started on the soft compound, unlike the majority of the field.
Very correct. I'm just quickly looking and checking to see who has got warnings currently. That might be quite interesting to see who will have to take things carefully. And there are currently about 25 to 30 warnings for drivers at the moment, so I think a lot of them are going to be on their last warning. So penalties could play a part, I think.
So Novaves coming into the pits for his mandatory pit stop at the end of lap 5. So I did call it before that drivers are starting on the soft, so we're looking at the end of lap 5 before they do come in for their mandatory pit stop onto the hard tyres. Winfield becomes the second driver to be penalised. That's 3 seconds for track limits. That'll go to his time at the end of the race. Rosie also in the MP Motorsport car. She wants to get rid of those soft tyres as they have had enough by the looks of things. Novaves out on his way, and he should rejoin in roundabout where I think Swanshanks and Tourades are the 2 damaged drivers.
Yes, definitely. The soft tyres were looking very worn on the front left as well. There was a very definitive line, so I think that may have been the limit, that 5. So it'd be interesting to see when the guys pit from the hards to the soft as well.
So only 2 drivers with time penalties so far. Winfield in 3rd place and Leppy in 13th. Dixon takes the lead of the race for now, but he will be on the better rubber when he comes in for his mandatory pit stop. He's looking at, I would say, around lap 10 or lap 11. He won't want to leave it too late, as he will want to take as much life out of the soft tyres as he can in the remaining laps in order to catch Novaves.
Absolutely. Definitely. It'll be very interesting to see how Novaves can defend at the end, and seems to get past very quickly at the start of the race.
And Swanshank's going backwards at the moment. He's just lost a position to his Dan's teammate, Tourades, and now Vintage in the Historio race lab trying to pull alongside, but Swanshanks had too much momentum on the exit of Copse Corner to keep hold of 11th position. And Leppy closing in behind these lot, as is Novaves, who's beginning to make up ground now on his fresh, hard compound tyres. Oh, yeah, he's on the hanger straight, and Swanshanks has spun. So he's got front wing damage. He did hit the barrier, and he's kept the car going, but that'll be him into the pit lane very, very soon indeed for the damaged driver. That's terrible luck for him there, and that could well be his chance of points gone from this race. And Rune looking to fend off the position there, but that was terrible luck there for Swanshanks, who could have been easily out of the race there.
Definitely. He's going to have to try and get 7 laps out of soft tyres as well now, which could prove quite difficult maybe.
So looking to see if there's any other changes of position. You can just see Novaves dive into the inside of Leppy as they enter Village. So Novaves fighting his way back through the field on his fresher rubber. So Novaves will be looking to maintain his position at the front. He did have a lead of 5 seconds before he pitted in, so he's got somewhat of a cushion over Dixon effectively, but he won't want to be stopped behind traffic for too long. And there's Tourades there, who I'm not too sure will fight it out too much with Novaves on this occasion. Novaves getting more momentum on the exit of Luffield, and he goes past him through Woodcote and up into 10th place. And Winfield all over the back of Rune on the hanger straight. Winfield going to the outside, can't quite pull the move off there. And Rune holds his line very nicely to keep hold of second place in the MP Motorsport car. Swanshanks in the pits. Well, he's just exited the pits now on his soft compound. He may need to pit again before this race is done, but he's down at the back of the field. Anyway, Lucky Boff gets a time penalty of 3 seconds. That'll go to his time at the end of the event. Winfield looking to get a move done on Rune through Abbey. Rune went going a bit too deep there on the exit of Abbey, and Winfield thought about trying to go for a move through Village, but doesn't quite do it there.
Do we think Rune and Winfield could potentially challenge for a lead come the end of the race? If Novus is good at defending from Dixon, they could close up maybe, because they're only 4 seconds behind Dixon at the moment.
It's an interesting one, that, but I would say with the pace that Novus is setting at the moment, I would say it's his race to lose. I think Winfield and Rune are going to be very much fighting for the final podium spot, and crucial points actually, because you do score more points in the feature race than you do in the sprints. Now, in terms of the point system for the feature and sprint races, it works differently to real life Formula 2. You do get 40 points for a race victory in the feature, followed by 32 for second, then 26 for third, 20 for fourth, right all the way down to 15th position, who get 1 point. There's also 4 points for the driver who qualifies on pole, which Dixon managed to get, and then 2 points for the fastest lap for the feature race, providing that driver does finish inside the top 10 at the end. And for the sprint race, 30 points for the race victory, 24 for second, 19 for third, 15 for fourth, right all the way down to 15th place, who get 1 point. And Winfield was able to get past Rune whilst I was discussing that. He gets up to second place, but remember, Winfield does have that time penalty, which, as it stands, would drop him back behind Rune.
Of course, yeah, I didn't actually trip about the penalty, so he's going to really need to get his hammer down and then pull away on the softs at the end, but I don't see that happening at the moment. They seem very evenly paced. As Novus has made another overtake there on Quick Killer for P8 now.
Yep, so Novus continuing to power his way through the pack. He's got 4 seconds to make up on Novus in front as Terades comes into the pits to get rid of those hard compound tyres, and he'll go onto a set of softs. You do have to use both compounds in a dry Formula 2 feature race. I'm not sure where Terades is going to end up by the end of this one, but remember, the top 8 in this do get reversed for the sprint one. There's an incident down at sector 1, and it's Statistic King who spun on the exit of the loop. He's lost time and places there, and Terades has called it quits in the pits. He becomes the first retirement of the event. No points for him, and probably no points for Dams in this race. So Statistic King down to 10th place after that spin, behind the Hound.
Yeah, I think Sadistic was just trying to get his tyres back up to temperature, because they were side by side down the whole of the back straight there, so I think the Hound capitalised quite well on Sadistic's mistake.
So Rune with DRS wide open as they come into Stowe Corner. Now, will either of them pit at the end of this lap? Now, Rune decides to pit in at the end of this one. So I'm not surprised by that, because I would have thought at least one of them would have been pitting at the end of this lap, as we are getting into the closing stages of this feature race. Now, Rune pits in from 3rd place. How do you see this one going, Jack?
I think it's a very clever tactic there from Rune. I think Rune was waiting to see and probably doing whatever Winfield didn't. So probably hoping to get the undercut and maybe pull away by a couple of seconds from this lap.
So soft compound tyres will go on to the MP Motorsport car. Vamu is also in for Charouz, as is Quick Killer and Statistic King. So the pit lane is getting very busy as we speak. Novavest goes back up to 5th place on the road, which should become the race lead once the top 4 do pit in. As an incident in sector 3, not sure what's happened there. And it's Vintage who's gone round in the HWA race lab. Doesn't want to rejoin into the path of the ART of Nivi. Gets out of the way nicely. Wild Dog into the pits also for UNI Virtuosi. Rosie is in 16th position, but she'll gain the positions on those who pitted in. Oh, who have yet to pit in.
Very unlucky for Rune. Very unlucky for Rune. He came out behind 3 cars there. He's just got past Lucky Boff, but he was held up by a couple of seconds there, I think, in the first sector, just being stuck behind traffic. So that might not be that beneficial for him on his outlap.
And Rune watching Leppy go past, or trying to go past, Hound's Campos, and Leppy slots in behind, going into the slipstream of the Campos as they go down the old pit straight. He will break the later of the two. There's a bang of wheels there between the Campos and the Prema, and Hound goes wide a little bit. Oh, there's contact! And Lepi goes off the circuit, hits the wall. I don't think he's got damage from that, but he's most certainly going to be losing a lot of time and places. That was quite a... that was a little bit cheeky there from Hound on the exit of Copse Corner. As Dixon, Winfield and Lynx pit.
I completely agree there. I was on board with Rune, and hell of a reaction from Rune to avoid that. And now get past Hound, but that seemed, I'd say, clumsy. It could have been avoided, in my opinion, but yeah, these things happen, I guess. If you're going to race cars, you're going to crash cars, as Mark Webber once said.
And Dixon exiting the pits behind Novaves, who retakes the lead of the race, but Dixon will be on better tyres for the final 5 laps of the event. Now, Rune will go up to 3rd place ahead of Winfield, I think. Unless Winfield gets out ahead of him, actually. I don't think he is. No, Rune was able to get back in front of Winfield now, actually. So, Rune was able to complete an undercut on Winfield over the course of that lap. Vermo gets a time penalty now for track limits, as the pit lane continues to get busy for the drivers who started the race on the hard tyres, now going onto the soft compound. This allows Rosie to go up into what is now 8th position. She's going to find it tough, though, I think, to keep hold of that, because 8th place does get you reverse grid pole for the sprint, which I'm sure she'd be very, very happy to have. But is she going to manage it? Although, having said that, Lepi has yet to make a pit stop in this one, as we watch Exotic Alpha on his first set of softs go past Rosie for 8th place, with Lepi still yet to pit in the Prema. I wonder if he's going to wait for a safety car in case there is one, but it's very unlikely at this stage of the race now. Dixon gets a time penalty of 3 seconds for track limits. That's bad news in his quest for the race victory. I think those chances of the race victory in the feature race have gone out of the window. Rune will be thinking about trying to catch him, but he's got Winfield all over the back of him for 3rd place. Winfield trying to go to the outside as they enter Stowe Corner, and Winfield remains behind the MP Motorsport on this occasion.
Nice fastest lap from Novas there. On those old hard tyres.
Rosie remaining in DRS range. At least she can stay in touch with Exotic Alpha as the Charouz driver closes in on Lepi, who's still yet to pit in this race. Until now, Lepi pits from 7th position as Vermo sets a new fastest lap, 1:38.9 in his Charouz.
Just see Sadistic King and Quick Killer currently side by side going into the final couple of corners there as well. Quick Killer trying to hold it around the outside. Sadistic was in front, but Quick Killer came back, which was just fantastic. They were side by side virtually from down the hanger straight until the final corner then.
It could be a crucial move. Yeah, and Quick Killer made that move, which is a crucial move actually, because that could see him effectively on reverse grid pole should he close in on Rosie. And if he cannot get past Rosie, he may be able to get past Exotic Alpha, who currently has a time penalty to his name, 3 seconds that is. So Quick Killer will be thinking about reverse grid pole at this point.
That is very true. Sadistic King is in his DRS at the moment, goes to the inside, and that at the moment is job done until Quick Killer comes back at the next corner, I'm sure.
Now Quick Killer will be taking a wider line than Sadistic King at Lovefield, which he does so ever so slightly. That'll give him more exit speed as they go through Woodcote and the old pit straight. Sadistic King kicking up a grass on the way through there, and Quick Killer having to slot in behind, so he'll probably wait until the DRS zone. And now we've got a tussle for 3rd place as Rune holds his line ahead of Winfield still. This is a great defensive performance from Rune in this race. Now Rune, in terms of his race results in Barcelona last time out, he finished 8th in the feature race, which got him reverse grid pole, but he only managed 5th in the sprint. But he's on fire in this race so far, as that boy comes into the pits for a change of tyres. Lucky Buff gets ahead of Hound for 11th place. Now you still get points actually. Remember, it's the top 15 that score points in F2. So it's all not doom and gloom if you're outside the top 10, as that boy rejoins a lap down in 18th place. And we can see Dixon closing in actually now on Novaves with 3 laps remaining. The gap is 1.8 seconds, but Dixon, as I've already mentioned, does have that time penalty to his name. So even though he gets past Novaves on the road, he still needs to pull out a margin on him if he wants to get that race victory.
Yeah, he's going to have to be calm, that's for sure, and not let that penalty get in his head. He's got to put that to the back of his mind and just try and get the overtake done first and then try and pull away.
Well, he is.
Winfield is now 2 tenths behind Rune as well, going through Cops.
Yeah, and Winfield, who also has a time penalty like Dixon has, but he wants to try and get past Rune and put him under pressure as they go through Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. Winfield taking a slightly wider line to try and get on the power a little bit earlier than Rune. DRS open on the ART, goes to the outside, past the MP Motorsport driver, and Winfield should get up to 3rd place on the road, which will be very difficult for him to keep hold unless he can pull out a 3-second margin on Rune behind. Lynx is in 5th position ahead of Vamu. Vamu does have a time penalty to his name, but the good news for him is that he's got a lead of 16 seconds on Exotic Alpha behind. So with that time penalty of his, that would not affect his race finishing position.
Very true there. We see New Hans Dixon now 7 tenths behind Novas as well. This could be a DRS pass potentially.
An important move from Statistic King, who gets past Rosie for 8th place at Stoke Corner. Although Rosie, with much better exit speed coming out of there, fights back. So Rosie not giving this one up without a fight. But Statistic King still keeps his foot in it as they go through Vale and Club side by side as they enter the Hamilton straight, on the pit straight that is. And Statistic King still side by side with the MP Motorsport driver. And I think he's going to have the upper hand as they go through Abbey. And the answer to that question is yes, he does. So Statistic King in front there for the time being at least. But Rosie is still going to have DRS for the next time they get onto the Wellington straight. And she gets back through ahead of him.
It's unbelievable. Rosie is not giving up at all. Maybe a bit of a vendetta because they made contact earlier in the race that she doesn't want to give that place up. I think Statistic's going to have to now down the inside potentially.
And so Statistic King, there is a bit of contact as Statistic King tries to get through there, and Rosie was able to get back through. And now Quick Killer gets involved in the action in the Carlin. What is he going to do on this occasion? He's probably going to sit behind for the next few turns before they get onto the hangar straight. But I want to go back to the battle for the lead because Dixon is all over the gearbox now of Novaves as they enter what is now the last lap of the race. This race has gone by quickly, hasn't it, chap? But this is a battle for the race lead on. This is a battle for the race lead on the last lap now. And Dixon, I don't think he's going to... Oh, Novaves, in fact, has got a time penalty. So Dixon's got a good opportunity to win this race now if he can get past his rival.
That has completely changed the dynamic of this race now for Novaves. So just try... Not many more corners to go, less than a lap, but I think it may have wrecked his chance of a win here.
Side by side they come now on the Wellington straight. Dixon going to the outside of Novaves. They do bang wheels a little bit. No, Dixon keeps his foot in this bang wheels again as they go through Luffield. Dixon to the inside, and he takes the lead of the feature race on the last lap from his rival Novaves. Now, it's not over yet though, because there's still one more DRS zone, of which these two will be able to get through. Now, Novaves is behind Dixon, but he's going side by side as they go through Cops corner. Oh, that was very nearly contact between the two. And Dixon's still into the lead on the last lap. That was sensational driving there from Dixon, going through the likes of Brooklands and Luffield.
Absolutely fantastic race, and I think Novaves was probably a little bit too impatient there through Cops. Should have maybe lifted and followed Dixon through to get a better line through Maggots and Beckett maybe. I think the chance of a move is now done. And
that really, and the course of the last lap with Novaves getting that time penalty changed the whole complexion of the battle for the race victory. But Dixon is going to come through the last few turns of Vale and Club. He'll see out a victory that he so very much deserved. Dixon over the line to win the feature race of F2 in the Formula Racing League here at Silverstone. Novaves 1 second behind him in second place. He won't be too disappointed as he knows consistency is the main ingredient in Formula 2. Rune finishes ahead of Winfield after Winfield's time penalty, so Rune will go to the podium. Winfield down to 4th place. Lynx will be 5th ahead of Vamu, and then it's Exotic Alpha another 17 seconds behind in 7th place. Statistic King getting back through on Rosie on the last lap. This is for reverse grid pole, Jack.
For reverse grid pole, is Rosie going to send it down the inside? Probably a bit too far back there.
Yep, so Exotic Alpha coming home in 7th place. His time penalty will not affect his race finishing position. Statistic King will come home 8th, and crucially on reverse grid pole, Rosie 9th, Creek Killer running up the top 10 for Carlin. We've got Lucky Boff, Hound, Nivy, Vintage, who's about to lose a position actually to Leffy by the looks of things. These two, this may be only for 14th position, but this is still a battle for points. As Vintage gets past Leffy, or so he thought. Leffy tries to get through on the inside, but I think he's going to run out of time to get through on him. Spins as he crosses over the line, and Leffy takes the final point in 15th place. Or he goes down to 16th actually because of Wild Dogs able to get in front of him. Swanshanks, the last of the... Oh, he's crawling home with a puncher actually in the dams. So Swanshanks' miserable race ends with a puncher in 17th place. That by the last of the finishers in 18th. But Dixon is the winner of the feature race here at Silverstone. Credit to him.
Absolutely fantastic. I don't think there was much involved in the I don't think there was much timing in the strategy. But Dixon kept his head. He's just put a comment in saying he needed that. Well done, mate. There must have been very fun at the end for sure.
I'm sure it'll be very, very fun. And he never gave up there because he felt that if Novavest had got a penalty, he would have thought he had picked up one warning or two in the race and think, maybe on the last lap, if he gets a warning again, he may get a time penalty. Well, that was what exactly happened. And Dixon was able to take advantage and get alongside the high-tech driver and move into the lead at Brooklands, which was sensational driving. I'm sure the British crowd would love it at Silverstone this weekend. So here's your race result then. Dixon, 27 championship points to go with the 4 that he got for pole position earlier on because he got the fastest up as well. Novavest is second ahead of Roon. Then it's Winfield fourth ahead of Lynx, Vamu, Exotic Alpha, Statistic King in 8th and on reverse grid pole. Rosie in 9th for MP Motorsport and Quick Killer running out your top 10. Lucky Boff, Hound, Nivy, Vintage and Wild Dog completing the point scorers. Leffy missing out on points in 16th. Swanshank is 17th. Official Dat Boy in 18th. Therese was the only driver to not finish the race. And just to correct myself, Dixon gets 42 points for the race, which he does say 27 on there, but the point system in the Formula Racing League in F2 works out differently to real life F2. Jack, your thoughts?
I think it was fantastic. I think there was a lot of great racing. I think lots of people were very close with pace for sure, and there was a lot of close battles. Obviously, a bit of contact and a few spins, but I think, I know I'm very excited for the sprint race. That's for sure.
And those 42 points for Dixon increases his points total from what was 33 at the beginning of the round, so 46 points to it. So that will put him on 79 points. But Novavest, to my calculations, is still the championship leader going into the sprint race, but it could all change by the end of the next 11 laps. It'll be an 11-lap sprint race, no mandatory pit stop involved, so it's very much a lights to flag finish, just like what Formula One is set to be doing for its sprint qualifying on Saturday afternoon this weekend. We're 20 seconds away from the start of the formation lap. What do we expect to see in this one? Because Statistic King is on reverse grid pole, and he could very much do with a race victory.
He really could. He did say to me before the race he was nervous about spinning on turn 1, and he did do that. So I'm just hoping that he pulls it together. And we know he's quick around here, so maybe he's just had a couple of setup issues. He said he's not done much practice, so hopefully it comes together for him in the race.
The formation lap is underway. All the drivers starting on the hard compound tyre, which is no surprise because the soft tyres won't be able to last that long, which was demonstrated by Swanshanks as he had that flat tyre on the last lap.
That is very true. While they are on the formation laptop, can you? I'm a bit confused with the new quali format. Actually, do you think you can briefly summarise it on the formation lap?
Is this for Formula One this weekend or F2?
Yeah, for the one this weekend in the actual F1 race.
Yes, I can absolutely sum it up for you. So essentially, the qualifying of normal is going to be moved to the Friday, 6 p.m. British summer time. So your normal Q1, Q2, and Q3. Now, the results of that will determine the sprint qualifying grid for the Saturday afternoon, which gets underway, I believe, at 4:30 p.m. British summer time. So qualifying determining the sprint qualifying grid, and then the race results of the sprint qualifying determines the grid for the Grand Prix on Sunday. So in terms of the sprint qualifying, it's 100 kilometres, which means it'll be a 17-lap sprint, no mandatory pit stops involved, and in terms of tyre choice, is down to the drivers and teams in terms of what to start the race on.
Could be very interesting, actually. I didn't realise it was. I didn't actually realise it was that in depth. So that will be very interesting for sure.
Very interesting indeed, and of course this is one of 3 occasions of which the sprint qualifying grid is expected to feature during the course of the 2021 Formula 1 season. Silverstone, the first of those this weekend, then Monza is set to be the second location where sprint qualifying is going to be involved. Now, the third one, at the moment, is set to be at Interlagos in Brazil, but it's highly unlikely that Sao Paulo will be able to host its Grand Prix this year in regards to the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic over in that country. But if Brazil wasn't to go ahead, I'm sure they'll find another location where they can do the sprint qualifying for the third time to round off this year as some form of assessment for the years to come. And this could be very much the future of Formula 1. And of course, they'll be unveiling the 2022 car. That will be tomorrow, 2 o'clock, I think, or 3 p.m. British summer time, which I'm sure every Formula 1 fan will be anticipating over the course of this weekend. But back to the action for F2 tonight in the Formula Racing League. All the drivers are pretty much in position. We're just waiting for the last 2 to take up their positions. And Statistic King and Exotic Alpha will have their eyes on the lights and they'll be gunning for the race victory. Keep an eye out on the likes of Dixon, Rosie, Novaves, as they could be challenging for the race victory in this one. So we await for the 5 red lights to come on for one last time here today at Silverstone. Could we have another different race winner? Who knows, in 11 laps time. It's lights out and away we go. Statistic King gets off the line well, gets a good launch, and Exotic Alpha in second place is keeping hold of his position ahead of his teammate Vamu, who goes wide down at Abbey, but Statistic King stays in front ahead of Exotic Alpha. In third place, we've got Lynx in the Carling, who's looking to defend his position from the MP Motorsport car of Rune in fourth place. There's Dixon spinning, lighting up the rear tyres on the exit of Village, but Statistic King stays out in front in the leads to go onto the Wellington Straight. There's a yellow flag in sector 1, not sure who's involved in there. It looks like Novaves has had a spin on the exit there, and he's lost time and places.
Yeah, Novaves currently down in P19 with Wild Dog and Leppy by the looks of it. The timings has messed up a little bit as well, as usual. But yeah, it looked like a very good start from the guys at the front, that's for sure. Dixon did put a comment in the chat saying he's going for maximum points this weekend here. So he is clearly raring to go. So definitely going to be interested to see how he gets on and making up 2 positions on the opening lap.
Your top 10 so far. Statistic King leads, ahead of Exotic Alpha. Then it's Lynx in third, ahead of Rune. Winfield in fifth, ahead of Dixon. Then it's Rosie in seventh. Vamu, who made a really poor start, he started third on the grid, is down to 8th place. Then it's Quickula and Hound running out your top 10. Got a yellow flag once again, and I think it's Nivi who's spun round in the ART, and he's got a whole lot of work to do. Nearly coming out into the path there of Vintage. That's not a very safe return to the racetrack there. Vintage did spun round at Luffield as well, so he's got an awful amount of work to do. So Statistic King a second clear of everyone else as he completes lap 1 in the lead, Jack.
Yeah, completing lap 1. Statistic looks to have a good Finland car at the moment, pulling away, as you say, because behind him is a big change of position at the moment, going on to turn 1, onto the first straight, with Rune up into P3 now by the looks of it.
So Rune looking to defend his position there, and we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Is that Owen? Lucky Boss in the barrier. He's collided with, I think that's Novaves. Is that Novaves he's come together, or is that the other high-tech he's come together with? I couldn't quite tell on the graphic. It's Novaves. So Novaves' race goes from bad to worse. He's collided with him on the start-finish straight. Well, not on the start-finish straight, down at Farm, and Lucky Boss spins round again. And I wonder whether we're going to need a safety car or a virtual safety car here, because they are pointing the wrong way on the racetrack.
Yeah, there were quite a few spins there. I'm not sure if there were a few separate incidents, maybe, because Novaves had a spin. Vintage Nivi has retired as well, so I'm not really too sure what's happened there. But Rosie's been given a 3-second time penalty as well for multiple warnings. And Nivi's 3, so that's not good.
Yeah, so Rosie picking up the first time penalty of the sprint race so far. Not Lucky Boss, Statistic King is in the lead. It does say Lucky Boff in P1, but that's not the correct race order at the moment. Lucky Boff has just gone through sector 1 now, and we've got the correct leaderboard. Statistic King in first place, then it's Exotic Alpha, Rune in third, Winfield fourth, Dixon all over the back behind these two in 5th place. It does say it's lap 3, but it is in fact lap 2. Otherwise we would have seen drivers using DRS. And Vintage, I think Lucky Boff has spun round again actually in the HWA. I wonder if he'll decide to carry on in this race. He is down in 18th position, which would not get you any points. Dixon all over the back now of Rune as they complete the second lap.
So true that Dixon's not wasting any time, that is for sure, in getting up the order. We see Rosie and Manu also very close together, and there is another yellow flag. Was it Leppy, I believe? Leppy and Swanson have come together on the start-finish straight.
They have, and I wonder how that has happened. They must have come together on the exit of Club Corner, take them onto the pit straight. Leppy about to be overtaken by Lynx. Now I wonder what's happened to Lynx, because he was in third place at one point, and he must have had a coming together with someone, and so he's fallen down the order a lot.
Going to jump back up to Dixon there in P3. Goes down the inside, of Rune to take P3. Rune's going to try and hang it around the outside, though.
Yeah, Rune getting his elbows out to try and get in front of Dixon again. Luckyboff is in the pits. He's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but I wonder if he'll call it quits, to be honest with you, because he's so far behind the rest of the field. He'll have to hope for a safety car later on. Exotic Alpha, half a second behind Statistic King. DRS is enabled, so Exotic Alpha will be able to use the DRS to his advantage on the hanger straight, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to have a go on this occasion, but he can most certainly close in and take the fight to Statistic King for the race victory. Dixon will most certainly so, as he's got DRS on Rune on the hanger straight, and that's him going up to third place. So the feature race winner earlier on is already up into the podium positions before the end of lap 3.
Yeah, Dixon does look very quick at this track, I must say.
Well, he clinched the 100% Racing Championship title recently, and he also completed the Super Sunday F1 Championship. I think he wrapped up the title here as well, so Silverstone very much his lucky racetrack here for Dixon. He is just over a second behind Exotic Alpha, but he'll close down that gap all the time, whilst Exotic Alpha is stuck behind the virtuosi of Statistic King.
I think Exotic might get this move done, on the DRS right here.
Yeah, will Statistic King choose to go defensive here? Novavest setting a new fastest lap. He's down in 15th place at the moment. Is the high-tech driver. Contact between the Cheroos and the virtuosi, but Exotic Alpha is through without any harm. Goes through up into the lead of the sprint race here at Silverstone. Dixon looking to follow suit by getting past the virtuosi as they come through the old pit straight now. Can Dixon get alongside, get to within a car's length of the virtuosi to get a move done into Cops? No, so he'll have to wait a little bit longer, Jack, before he can complete an overtake.
Very true there. I think Sadistic might be fancying another go at P1 down the hanger straight here. If you can hook it up through Magnussen, Buckets and Chapel.
And so Statistic King will have DRS, as will Dixon, so they may even engulf the Cheroos. So I don't know which way Exotic Alpha is expected to go here. And Statistic King will go to the right of him, and he'll go back into the lead here. Can Dixon take advantage of the open door and get through as well? Oh, there's contact between the two. Dixon, oh, he needs to play it safe here, and Lucky Boff has retired from the session. He's back in the pits. But Exotic Alpha and Statistic King do continue to make contact, and Dixon goes up into second place. And Exotic Alpha's been given...
wanted to play bumper cars.
Yeah, Exotic Alpha's been penalised as well. That's bad news for him in his quest for the race victory. But Lucky Boff is out of the race. Dixon runs wide on the exit of Farm Corner. And that... Oh, he nearly made contact with the UNI Virtuosi. Just missed him. And that allows Exotic Alpha back through again. But Dixon's not giving it up, though. He's got DRS when they get onto the Wellington Straight. He gets back through up to second place again. Great racing between the two. And this is allowing Winfield to pull alongside and try and get through up to second place in the ART. This is incredible stuff here at Silverstone. Oh, there's contact! Winfield spins on the entry to Brooklands, and that's going to cost him time and place. He falls down to 7th place behind Rosie. Oh, that's terrible luck there for the ART driver. It looks as though he may have got through up into second place, but contact with the Cheroos, I think it was, as they enter Brooklands, had cost him dearly.
Yeah, Exotic Alpha ran wide going onto the back straight, and Winfield was alongside him. I'm not sure if he saw him, but there was definite contact there, wheel to wheel, I think. Hopefully no damage for either driver. You see Vermoo under pressure from Rune as well now, going onto the hanger straight.
And Dixon most certainly putting on the pressure of Statistic King as he uses DRS to his advantage on the hanger straight. Dixon to the outside as they go into Stowe Corner. Dixon hangs it out, and he's through into the lead of the sprint race here at Silverstone. So Dixon on course for a feature and sprint race win double. And that will most certainly push him into the lead of the standings, with Novavest well down the order in 15th place.
Just an incredible move. It looked like a sweep round the outside. Sadistic's no pushover, but Dixon just looks to be in another class there.
And Vamo looking also to get past Exotic Alpha. He's also got time penalty to his name, so... And this is going to be a very difficult one for Charisse to handle, because there's drivers behind them who do not have time penalties like they do. So Vamo going to the inside at the loop, but doesn't quite pull off the move there. And so he sits behind his teammate once more.
Battle of the 4 teammates as well. Well,
yep.
2 teammates versus 2 teammates.
Vamo waiting behind. Exotic Alpha holding his line well. He's taking a wider line on the exit of Luffield to give him more speed down the old pit straight. There's room behind him, 5th position ahead of Rosie, who's doing a fine job from 9th on the grid to get herself up to 6th position. And now we're watching Exotic Alpha and Vamo nose to tail. They're doing very well to keep themselves following each other. Winfield gets a time penalty now for chat limits. He's got 4 seconds in hand there over Quick Killer, so that would not affect his race finisher position as it stands. And Vamo looking to hold off Rune on this occasion. He's lost ground to Exotic Alpha, so he'll probably have to wait a little bit longer before he can challenge him once again.
I think Rune might have got a warning there because he cut going onto the hanger straight and it was quite obvious, so that could bite him later in the race maybe.
And Leppy going to the outside of Wild Dog in the battle over 10th place. Leppy gets through and up into the top 10 he goes in the Prema. Dixon setting a new fastest up of the race. That's another 2 points potentially going in his favour. So he's on course for the full maximum score. Now, in the Formula Racing League, as I was already mentioned in terms of how many points you do get in a feature and sprint, 40 points for a race victory in feature, 30 points for a race win in the sprint, 4 points for pole position. Oh, and Vamo runs wide at the loop, hits the barrier. Oh, that's costly for him. And that's his chances of a good haul of points out of the window for him. What a shame.
That seems so unnecessary. The teammates there got to be thinking about it for the team as well, not just themselves. And I don't know, they seem to be fighting each other a bit too hard there, in my opinion. But very unlucky for the Moo indeed.
And I was just going to say, Dixon would be on course for the maximum of 78 should he take the race victory and the fastest lap that he is doing right now. It's been a sensational performance from Dixon tonight in the Formula Racing League. He's been one of the stars in the last 6 months or so. I think Vamo will be thinking about pitching in for a new front wing.
Yeah, Wild Dog's getting past Vamo here with Links right behind him.
Yeah, Link's getting past, and I think Vamo will be pitching in. I think he may as well, to be honest with you, because he's going to lose a heap of time. And he may try and go for the fastest lap, but the only problem he'll have is he'll be outside the top 10, which would not get him the points. And Rune going to the inside of Exotic Alpha into Stowe Corner, but Exotic Alpha was able to hang it out there and keep hold of that final podium spot. But as it stands, he would lose that 3rd place with the time. But all this contact between Rune and Exotic Alpha on the exit of Club. Luckily, Exotic Alpha was able to hold his line, and that's going to allow Rosie in the other MP Motorsport car to get through potentially. She's ahead of Rune, albeit Rune gets through back ahead of his teammate. And we've got a spin in sector 3. Is that Hound who's spun around? See, as he's pointing the wrong way. Be very careful there, mate. You don't want to be taking out any drivers as you rejoin. Vamo's in the pits for Charouz for a new front wing. And it's all kicking off here at Silverstone.
It's absolutely crazy. I hope there's not any more contact with teammates, that's for sure. We see Rune go around the outside of Exotic Alpha now. Can he make it stick? It looks like he can, but I think Exotic Alpha's going to get a better exit. He's kind of been hung up to dry there.
And Exotic Alpha now finally been overtaken by Rune. So Rune on merit is up into 3rd place. Instant in sector 1 as well as Hound is out of the race. He's stopped it out on track rather than going into the pit lane, which is against the rules in the Formula Racing League. Not that I'm trying to put a curse on anyone here, but rules are rules when it comes to the Formula Racing League in regards to race etiquette.
Very true. I do think he's actually crashed. He's
not actually. No, what happened was he's paused the game and he's just retired from session on track rather than actually crash. But he's supposed to be doing that in the pit lane rather than do it out on track to avoid basically
controversial decisions.
To contribute to a safety car or a virtual safety car is what I was trying to say. But Exotic Alpha is still in front of Rosie in the battle over 4th position.
Yeah, these two are looking very close, and Rune isn't looking like pulling away though. They just seem to be very evenly matched on pace.
Well, the good news
Winfield as well, 2 tenths behind.
Well, the good news for Exotic Alpha, Rosie and Winfield is that their race positions would not be affected by the time penalty, with Leppy, who's in 7th place actually, who's making up good ground through all this, is 6 seconds behind this lot. So in terms of time penalties applied to the race drivers' positions, no effects would be made.
Definitely, I think Winfield may be looking at Rosie here. Might be a little bit too far back for a move.
We're going to go back to the battle for 4th position then, because Exotic Alpha is still defending from Rosie and Winfield. Will it stay that way come the checkered flag? We've got 3 laps remaining. Dixon's lead over 8 seconds over Statistic King, who's on course for another good result in a sprint race. He was second 2 weeks ago in Barcelona in the sprint race, and he's very much on course for another good result today. He was 6th in feature race, in the feature race in Barcelona, followed by 2nd in the sprint. Today he finished 8th in the feature race and 2nd potentially in the sprint. So it's been a relatively consistent start to the season for Statistic King, who won the Tier 2 title in F2 in the Formula Racing League last season, and having another good time of it all with a much bigger grid. Novavest getting a time penalty for track limits. His race going from bad to worse. It's contact! Yeah, Rosie spins round, just avoids Winfield behind, and with that, that's going to lose a crucial ground, and Leppy's going to get through as well and up into 6th place.
Talking of Leppy as well, I think Leppy could be in contention for P4 here, because I was riding on board with Exotic and Winfield, and they both have run wide a lot recently. I think they could be close to another penalty potentially.
Dixon continuing to extend the margin. Quick Killer getting a time penalty now in the Carlin. They'll go to his time at the end of the race. And just looking at Leppy at the moment. Now, if Leppy can get to within 3 seconds of Winfield, that would move him up into 5th place at the end of this one. But I think it's going to be very difficult with only 2 laps remaining.
Yeah. Only 2 laps remaining. This race has gone very fast as well, Scott.
Well, that's F2 for you when it comes to sprint races in the Formula Racing League. Vomo, I think, could be on course for the fastest lap here, although he is in 13th place, so that would not be enough for him to get those 2 championship points. But we'll see what he can...
Just see Nova's put a move on Wild Dog there. Pretty textbook, just down the back straight, the first DRS straight into P10.
Yeah, so Vomo does set a new fastest lap of the race. Now, I wonder if Dixon will still get the... Well, no, Vomo has got the fastest lap at the moment, but I just wonder whether he'll keep those points when it comes to the Formula Racing League. We'll find out soon enough, but nevertheless, it's still a very, very exceptional performance from Dixon tonight. But the battle for second is still not over, because Rune is on the tail of the virtuosi of Statistic King with just over a lap remaining.
Just looking at penalties as well, Exotic Alpha has 6 seconds of penalties now. So Leppy will actually jump him.
Yeah, he would. So Exotic Alpha on course to lose 2 positions with his time penalty. And Leppy, if he can get to within 3 seconds of Winfield, he'll go up 2 positions, up to 4th place. He's had a very strong race as Leppy. And we're looking at the battle for second now, though, because Rune... Oh, and Statistic King spins on the exit of the loop! So Statistic King throws away 2nd place. Now he's got to be careful not to rejoin the track by resetting back onto it. We're just watching Rosie as she goes toe-to-toe. There is a yellow flag through there, so I wonder if that move will be legal from Lynx. He gets through and up to 6th, but will Rosie get back through ahead of him again? Statistic King falls down to 10th place now. Rune up to 2nd. Exotic Alpha up to 3rd on the road, but it'll be Winfield who go to the podium.
It could be Leppy.
Well, it could be Leppy even.
Leppy's got to find half a second, I think. This is incredible.
So Dixon just lapping there. I think that was that boy who's just been lapped. But Dixon, who's already won the feature race around about half an hour ago, is about to take yet another victory. He nearly loses it on the exit of Stowe. Did you just see that there, Jack? He nearly lost it coming out. Yeah, he nearly lost it on the exit of that corner there. But he's coming through Vale and Club for the last time. Dixon is about to complete a clean sweep here at Silverstone. It's victory for Dixon in Formula 2 in the Formula Racing League at Silverstone. 2 victories out of 2 tonight. Excellent job from him, and that will move him to the top of the championship after 2 rounds. Rune finishes second for MP Motorsport. Exotic Alpha is about to lose the final podium spot to Winfield unless Leppy can find enough time, which I don't think he'll be able to do. But he'll go up to 4th place. Exotic Alpha down to 5th with Lynx in 6th. Or Statistic King gets back up to 6th place, to say. So it's all is not lost actually for Statistic King. That could so easily could have been 2nd place for him had it not been for that spin on the last lap. Lynx is 7th for the Quick Killer. Then it's Rosie 9th place. Novavest is 10th. Wild Dog 11th. Vintage 12th. Vamu, who has set the fastest lap of the race, is in 13th position. And it'll be Swan Shanks, that boy, taking the final points. Paint positions with Terades, the last of the finishers, in 16th place.
Where to begin?
Yeah, it was quite manic, wasn't it? And we're just waiting for Swan Shanks to cross over the line. But it's Dixon who is race winner once again in F2 at Silverstone.
Dixon has just said that is huge for the championship. You are correct there, my friend. A defining moment potentially with Leppy there driving the day. I'd say that's pretty well deserved. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, Leppy did a fantastic job. I'd be interested to know where he started on the grid, actually, because he started quite a way down. But in the meantime, Dixon picking up yet another winner's trophy at Silverstone. I think that's the 4th time or something, or 3 times he's won at Silverstone in races that I've commentated him on. It just seems to be a hunting ground for him, a happy hunting ground for the Brits. And we've got Rune on the podium with him, along with Winfield, who picks up another podium for himself. So your final race result in the sprint race here at Silverstone. Dixon wins ahead of Rune by over 12 seconds. It's Winfield in 3rd, Leppy 4th, and it's Exotic Alpha in 5th place. Statistic King is 6th, then it's Lynx in 7th ahead of Quick Killer. Rosie is 9th ahead of Novavest, picking up 10th place, and it's Wild Dog in 11th, Vintage 12th. Vamu, who did set the fastest up of the race, those points will go to Dixon as Vamu finished outside the top 10. Swanshanks picking up a couple of points in 14th position, that boy taking the final point in 15th. Terades, the last of the finishers, in 16th place. Hound, Lucky Boff and Nivi did not finish the race as they did not score there. So in terms of how many points each driver got from that round, well, Dixon just got a clean sweep. He picked up the maximum 78 points available. That will move him into the lead of the championship. He will now be on 111 points with Novavest, who was woeful in that second race. I'm not sure if he's kept hold of 2nd place either, actually. We'll have to find out when the race championship standings do update themselves by Rosie herself or whoever's in charge of that. But yeah, 2 brilliant races there, Jack. Your last thoughts on today's action?
I think it was fantastic. It reminds me why I love doing this sort of thing, and why I just love the FRL, really. Lots of brilliant drivers fighting their heart out throughout that race. Lots of clean driving, obviously a few incidents and a few spins, a few bits of contact, but that's always going to happen, unfortunately, at some stage. But just very excited, and hats off to Dixon there for the clean sweep. And
most certainly so is Dixon as he takes command at the top of the F2 standings in the Formula Racing League. The next round of the championship will be in Singapore in a week's time on the 21st of July, 8:30 p.m. British Summer Time. We don't know for certain what it'll be on F1 2020 or F1 2021, but you'll be able to watch the race still on Twitch, Tom_Cairns22, or if you're watching it on Catch Up, it'll be on the Tom Cairns official YouTube channel. Jack, thank you for joining me. It's been a privilege having you on board. I've thoroughly enjoyed it alongside you, and I can't wait to do it all over again in a week's time. On the 21st of July in Singapore, 8:30 p.m. British Summer Time. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Jack Berry, and we'll speak again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.